Just 3 rounds to go now of the 2016 FF1M Championship. It's the first of those 3, the Japanese Grand Prix at the brilliant Suzuka circuit. And I'm being joined by someone still waiting for their 100th podium in FF1M. It's Courtney from Shake and Bake.
Konnichiwa.
And the previous race, right. What the hell happened in Sepang with Sam Bird winning a race?
That was, bizarre. It was between Kiminen and Sam Bird, wasn't it? And I was convinced that Kiminen was going to do a Max Verstappen and win on his debut.
Yeah, or in FF1M terms, doing a Michael Schumacher or Fernando Alonso, because they won on their debuts as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, and in typical Malaysia fashion, Hamilton blew up from the lead as well.
He did, yes. And to a certain extent, Magnussen threw away a race win as well with a mistake at the fast double right in the middle of the lap.
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes that race.
Yeah, and Sam Bird, like a vulture, just picked up the pieces and took an amazing win. Well deserved, I have to say, because he performed well all throughout the Sepang meeting. In the present, we've got the Japanese Grand Prix, and we're looking at 1 or 2 stops this time. Normally we've had 3 stops in all of the Suzuka races in recent time, but the tyre's more durable than normal, so they're confident of doing just 1 or 2 stops this time. And last season's race was won by Robert Kubica. That was from 18th on the grid, last season's race.
Wow.
It was also the race where Vettel took a podium and scored 69 points by the season's end. It
was all part of the plan. Was that Kubica's last win?
Yes, for now, because he is back next season in the FF1M. But it's the first pole position for Väinö Kimmonen in the Tornado, and Daniel Ricciardo up in second for Andrew, but it's not just him, it's Tony Kirst as well up in third. That's his best qualifying of the season, ahead of Nico Hülkenberg in fourth, the unlucky Nico Hülkenberg. Right, I'll get onto his unluckiness a bit later on, but for the rest of the grid, the Assman in 5th, ahead of Fernando Alonso, still looking for his 1000th point in FF1M. He's got 998 so far. Magnussen and Grosjean on row 4, and then Nico Rosberg and Sergio Perez down in 10th on the grid.
Wow.
And the other championship rival contender, favourite, way down in 11th as well. None of the championship contenders, and there's just 3 of them now, performing particularly well in qualifying. And there's Vettel in 12th. Then it's Cooper Lee 13th, ahead of James Clark 14th in the Gajera. The very fresh-faced James Clark.
Very fresh-faced, and the not-so-fresh-faced Sam Bird in 15th.
The Malaysian Grand Prix winner Sam Bird in 15th, ahead of multiple race winner Kimi Raikkonen, the most experienced driver on the grid. Jean-Eric Verne 17th, ahead of Max Verstappen in 18th. He's up in 18th, it's normally see Willows on the back row. Then we've got Felipe Massa and your new boy Nolan Bryant in 20th. Bit of an inauspicious debut, but it's just an acclimatisation.
Yep, keeping it off the back row.
Which is occupied by Carlos Sainz and Stoffel van Dorn. Yeah, so are we going to get another weird winner? Well, we could actually have the 10th winner of the season if things go well for Väinö Kimmonen, and I believe that would equal a record of 2002, because I think that had 10 different winners.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Kimmonen so far up there, but yeah.
Well, he is very much a flying Finn. As the 5 lights go out, and it looked like Ricciardo getting a very good start from second on the grid, but Kimmonen has the inside line as the first corner. We switch to the back, but Kimmonen holding on as he goes through the first couple of corners on the medium tyres. And further back, Alonso has got the jump on Nico Hülkenberg for 4th place as we round the S's. This snake of cars chasing Kimmonen. And further back we've got Bottas has had a bit of a poor start. He's dropped behind Sergio Perez, who's up from 10th to 7th, so good start from the Tornado driver. And through the tricky Degners. And Ricciardo hanging on. He did actually top second practice, but I suspect Andrew have gone quite heavy on setup, the balance setup that you can run in the first practice session, because he was still on the hards in FP2. Could suggest a better setup. They're on the medium tyres, which haven't worked out well so far, but at least it gave Ricciardo a point at Sepang through this spoon curve, and Fernando Alonso's on the move as he is trying to challenge Tony Kirst for 3rd, and then rounding the rest of the spoon curve, and no incidents, they all got away very cleanly. and through the 130R. This is pre-2003 130R, so it's a very much a equal radius corner, and then the tight Casio triangle. Do you prefer this one or the newer one?
The chicane.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I can't really tell much of a difference. This one's just a bit tighter, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a longer braking zone into this one, and when they changed it, the braking zone's a bit earlier. But 130R still has its own challenge, but it's a different sort of challenge because it's Felipe Massa getting a bit squirrely and out. Well, not quite out, but he's lost his front wing, so Massa's race compromised quite heavily, and he's going to have to change that front wing. We had a lot of mistakes last season at Suzuka, loads of drivers going off circuit and beaching themselves at the turn 1 and 2 gravel trap, and Massa only on lap 2 has proved that the Suzuka circuit is still a bit tricky, as we're on board with Alonso.
See what the shake and bake bound driver can do.
Alonso will be teammates with Nolan Bryant next season, and yeah, that was quite a perch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, Whiteley was a bit furious with you.
It's all right. I've had him placed under house arrest for.
It's close through the. It's a bit swervy from Da Costa trying to intimidate Alonso into backing off as James Clark makes his way past Nico Rosberg. That's for 10th place going through the first couple of corners, and Vettel losing a position to Clark in the process as well. It's through the S's, the two Mitchells. Will Van Dorn's season ever pick up? It's just been miserable for him, but at least Willows have retained him, and there's another one. It's Sainz exiting the 130R, and that's definitely a mechanical problem for the Megatron powered GRM.
Why'd you have to bring up the engine supplier? Why?
Why not?
But no, yeah, James Whiteley's had to be placed under house arrest because he was outside the shake and bake factories protesting, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm sure we'll move on. I'm sure there'll be plenty more moments where I completely shaft him in our professional relationship, so he just needs to get over it.
Who we're looking at? Valtteri. This is not Valtteri, that's Nico Rosberg in 11th, chasing James Clark, trying to regain that position off of the driver from Altrincham, Cheshire. And Rosberg's getting a good run out of the spoon curve to get into the slipstream. Just in front of these two is Kevin Magnussen. And Magnussen not exactly performing well in qualifying, but he was pretty quick in both practice sessions. I've not done... Well, I won't give it away just yet, but my basic practice sessions, they're in the view of 2017, just preparing now. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are like that. I've certainly taken more of a focus towards next year now.
Yeah.
Not really much point me scrapping for, 7th or something? Is it? Either first or your last.
Battle for 7th in the Constructors Teams Championship. Now, what have we got? Sergio Perez versus Nico Hülkenberg. It looks like both FJRs not quick in the race as Perez up the inside into 130R, and that was a good move from the Mexican, who's looking to try and keep his championship alive. And he's doing quite well at it because Hamilton's not quick at all in this race. Started 11th, but dropping down to 15th behind Jean-Eric Vergne. I wonder if that's a fuel thing because we're expecting 1 or 2 stops. Maybe Mitchell and Hamilton have gone a bit heavy.
Perhaps, yeah. I'm just blown away by Kimmonen's pace advantage, to be honest. It's pretty insane. Now he's that much faster than Perez.
Yeah, well, Kimmonen, he's been drafted in the place of Thomas Gonzalez, somewhat controversially, because Gonzalez was still in the championship battle, but completely off the boil, and Tornado looking to try and regain some team's championship charge, and it's certainly worked so far. Kimmonen won the FF1M championship this season. Let's see Alonso versus Da Costa into 130R. That's 3rd place for Fernando Alonso. Probably on a 2-stop strategy because his fuel's getting quite low, so he needs to make the most of this. But yeah, Kimmonen won this season's FF2M Championship and the previous FF2M Asia Championship, so he's pretty quick, and that was with the overtake. Alonso setting the fastest lap. Impressive.
Yeah, Alonso's clearly got some pace, but It makes me wonder what the true pace of that Tornado is, given that Perez was in a... I say was in, he technically still is in, but let's be fair, was in a championship position to battle for the championship when Kimminen's just come in and is that much faster, unless there's some severe setup boost going on for Kimminen, which wouldn't make a lot of sense because he's got... I suppose it would make quite a lot of sense actually for the constructors. I was going to say it wouldn't make a lot of sense to boost his setup over Perez's when Perez is in chance for this championship, but if he's giving up on that and just going for the constructors now and sees... Yeah, I've just taught myself out of that completely. I was thinking like, oh, unless he's got really heavy setup, he probably wouldn't do that. But actually, yeah, he might do if the lap times say that he's the faster driver. So yeah, maybe that would explain the pace difference between the two. Either that, or if Kimminen was in the car for the whole season, we probably would have won the championship.
Maybe, but
one or the other.
One or the other, as that was Da Costa making a pit stop from 11th place and getting a bit loose at the exit of the first corner, rejoined right in front of Lewis Hamilton, who is definitely on a one-stop strategy, I'm sure of it. So that was a good first stint for Da Costa, and maybe highlights the lack of pace in Hamilton in the race. But Alonso into the pits, he was third at the time, and his target's to get out still in front of Da Costa. And good stop, 5.6 seconds. Can he rejoin ahead? I think Magnussen's just passed. Is Clark gone past? Well, that is Rosberg who's gone past. And Alonso still ahead of Da Costa. And Alonso's teammate during the pits at the end of this lap. There's Alonso's pit indicator, which is highlighted red. And Väinö Kimminen coming into the pits as well at the end of this lap. So looking like a two-stop strategy for the Tornado driver.
He's got a Hakkinen-esque helmet, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's based off of Mika Hakkinen, so maybe that's one inspiration behind it. But yeah, and if we take a look at Nolan Bryant's helmet, that's blue as well, but sort of based off of his adoptive father's nickname, Jackie Bryant, known as the Blue Flash, back in his IndyCar days.
Sounds a bit inappropriate, that, doesn't it?
The Blue Flash.
The Blue Flash. Oh, and as well, like the colour blue. I guess he drove a blue car in the law. That's what explains it. But like blue, that means blue flags. Does it just mean like? that's how I'm interpreting that.
Kimminen and Ricciardo pitting at the same time as each other. So.
Oh wait, I've just realised I was just talking smack about my own driver's dad. No, I take it back. It was no.
Now,
he's great. It's Jackie Bryant. He's great.
Now, crucially, Kimminen's rejoined ahead of Magnussen, but Ricciardo's rejoined behind the Dane, so Magnussen also won stopping, like Hamilton, and for the moment, Perez leads ahead of Nico Hülkenberg and Valtteri Bottas. Kimminen rejoined in fourth, and the first of the two stoppers on the road, but looks like new tyres are working quite well for Ricciardo, because he's looking to try and challenge Magnussen into the spoon curve, but the braking zone is a bit short for that. And Ricciardo has to wait at least another straight. But I think I've turned the engine down a little bit in terms of my ERS use. I'm running just the crunch setting.
Yeah, I've kind of backed out a little bit, to be honest, just to hopefully bring the car home, and hence the hard tyres as well.
Yeah, you had 3 sets of softs to use, but you've chosen not to use them for this one. And
yeah, I think if I remember rightly, I don't think it's giving too much away. You'll see it eventually, but I'm running hards for the rest of the season now, just to hopefully minimise retirements and get as much development as possible.
Gotcha. So through the first couple of corners, and Magnussen under pressure from Ricciardo. Alonso! Fernando Alonso he's actually made a mistake. Yeah. He has made a mistake, so he's going to have to wait until the field gets past before rejoining. And let's see Alonso on the yellow medium tyres. He has just bottomed out a bit on the first corner of the S's, and then therefore a bit too much speed and a spin. So that's costly for Fernando. And this is Bottas versus Kimminen. 2 Finns going at it.
He has made a few mistakes this season, Alonso, hasn't he?
He's made a few. I've noticed that there's quite a few mistakes coming in from FJR drivers. Like ever since Silverstone, probably, what was the one after? Well, let's see Kimmonen getting past Bottas into the 130R first of all. Bottas trying to hang on the outside, but Kimmonen's got that one, unless Bottas can do a dive bomb, but just staying back for now. And Bottas one stopping, just like Magnussen and Hamilton, and probably Perez and Hülkenberg as well, because they're on lap 24 now, and both of those two drivers not yet pitted. Now, here's Ricciardo on Magnussen once again, into the spoon curve this time. Ooh! There was nearly contact between the front wing and the rear wheel. Now can Ricciardo get a good run out of the spoon curve? I think he's got a slipstream. Here it comes. And can he get alongside going into the 130? Yeah, he can do. And Ricciardo's going to take a position off of Kevin Magnussen. Now, can he chase back after Kimmonen, who has now got past Bottas for third and will be doing chase after Perez and Hülkenberg?
A lot of pace from this Andy car.
Yeah, I do suspect that they're running a bit of setup boost, because you've got Ricciardo up in 5th and Da Costa in 8th and doing quite well. Now, we're on board with Nico Rosberg, the retiring Nico Rosberg at the end of the season, as he sets a new fastest lap at the end of lap 24, and through the first couple of corners, and all looked quite smooth. Sergio Perez comes into the pits. Now, this should be a one-stop strategy. They're just about hitting half distance, so let's see the fuel going on board. On go another set of tyres, 30 laps of fuel. He's definitely one stopping, so Perez looking for a decent result, and with Hamilton down in 9th, well, he's 19 points behind in the championship, so if Hamilton doesn't score, then he won't win the championship. Basically, 19 points. He needs to score 5 points more, maybe 6 points more than Perez and Magnussen to win the championship in this race.
Okay, right.
But at the moment he's way down. Now Hülkenberg in for his one and only pit stop from the temporary race lead. He'll rejoin behind Perez, at least. Can he rejoin ahead of Grosjean? I think that's the target for Nico, who's, well, after his second of 3 pit stops in Sepang, immediately a mechanical failure.
Yeah, I saw it was almost like they hadn't attached the wheel properly, but it was the suspension, wasn't it? Or something?
Oh, Magnussen! I just see it in the background there. That's a puncture for Magnussen. So, yeah, his championship challenge is waning quite a bit now, and it's up to Hülkenberg to score points, and he just about rejoined ahead of Romain Grosjean. So that was his target, and he's achieved it. But, yeah, reliability has definitely gone down ever since the third engine upgrade. That was from Grosjean versus Hülkenberg into the first corner. Grosjean on the lighter fuel load needs to make hay while his car's lighter than Hülkenberg's. But yeah, I've suffered quite a lot of unreliability since Hungary-Hockenheim, around that area.
Yeah. Have you been running higher modes then, or is it just like, the actual development? I like
to think engine development.
Yeah.
Bottas Ricciardo into the spoon curve, and can Ricciardo make this one stick at the exit? Yes, he can just about, but Bottas is trying to get back into the slipstream and back up alongside the Andrew, going down the left-hand side. Can he make this move stick? Or can Ricciardo hang on round the outside? Yes, he can. So that was a good move from Ricciardo, and Sergio Perez with a mechanical issue. That's going to scupper his strategy, because he's having to make an unscheduled one. I think Bottas in the pits as well, and there's a menagerie of problems according to the steering wheel. Could be transmission, could be electrical, but nothing but a new steering wheel will fix that.
Yeah, I like that little bit where you say, it's fine. Just change the steering wheel, it's all fixed now.
That's Alonso fighting his way back through the field, up alongside Kimi Räikkönen at the spoon curve as well. And that was a position gain for Alonso.
Have you ever seen that clip? I think it was in China. I think it was on board with Hamilton, where they did a pit stop to change 5 tyres and 5 wheels and.
That was that was India.
Was it India?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they changed the tyres but also changed the steering wheel, and it's still like a 4-second stop or something. It's really cool. Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah.
Now we've got Hülkenberg versus Rosberg. This is for 5th place. Rosberg getting light on fuel and on soft tyres as well will surely be quicker than Nico Hülkenberg, who is going to the end of the race. Now, Hulkenberg is 20. He was 27 seconds behind Kimmonen, race leader. He's only 21 behind Ricciardo. So once Ricciardo, Da Costa and Grosjean make their pit stops as Rosberg makes his way past Hulkenberg, then Hulkenberg could be up to probably second, maybe third, maybe gain track position on this lot, but he'll be on older tyres.
Yeah, I don't think track position so far has been that key. Well, generally throughout the season, I think the cars have been able to overtake each other decently.
Yeah.
At least that's my take.
And this is Perez on the back of Sebastian Vettel through the 130R. Is Perez going to have a look into the chicane? Nobody's really making moves into this chicane.
No, they keep waiting for turn 1, don't they?
Exiting the final corner on this downhill start-finish straight. And how much slipstream can Perez gain on Vettel? Imagine you're running probably less than 50% ERS.
Yeah. Oh dear
Goodness me, and just in front of those two, Clark was getting a little bit out of shape. So it could be a three-way battle for 9th place in the not-too-distant future as Tony Coast comes into the pits from 3rd. Can he rejoin around Hulkenberg, or is he a bit too far behind Ricciardo to really maintain that? But he'll be on fresher tyres anyway.
I'm going to do the usual game where I look at the pits and try and figure out what year the circuit's based from. Is it 2000?
Da Costa being delayed a bit. Who by? And it was by Pedersen, and decided to drive in front of him anyway. But after 7.6 seconds and a little bit more, Da Costa rejoins in 5th place, so he's behind Bottas and Hulkenberg. Let's see what happens here. So he tried to be courteous, but Rosberg was that was Rosberg's pit, so very much a miscommunication between those two.
Lucky they didn't just both park up. So after you, sir. No, after you, sir. After you, sir, and just be stuck there.
Still a decent enough stop for Rosberg, 7 seconds. And he rejoined behind Alonso, but still quite a few people needing to make their second pit stops.
Is it 2003?
It could be 2001, because that was when GP4 was based on. So he had Jaguar sponsorship on the right hand side. If Arrows is sponsored by Asiatech, then that would be 2001. We could have a look once Väinö Kimmonen makes his pit stop on the right hand side. Right, well, shouldn't say that. The Tornado mechanics, and Ricciardo's in the pits as well. So once again, both Kimmonen and Ricciardo pitting on the same lap as each other. And 7.2 second pit stop for him there.
Without wanting to put the commentator's curse on this, it looks like a pretty box standard lights to flag victory for Kimmonen. It's going to be second in his first race, first in his second.
Yes, and I'm trying to think of drivers who have won in their second ever FF1M race. I think Ralf Schumacher did that in the 1998 season when he made his debut for GE Racing. And then that was part of a 4-podium streak. And he actually set a record for the most podiums in their debut starts, which was 4. And then later that season, Heinz-Harald Frentzen came along and did 5 podiums in his first 5 races. Although the upcoming classic season may scupper that record.
Oh yeah, there will be a classic season, won't there?
Yes, I mean, if it follows true, as Perez makes a move on James Clark, who could be on course for his first points, but only made 1 pit stop, and I don't know if he is 1 stopping or 2 stopping, but it'd be good to see Clark getting some points.
I never seem to do well in the classic seasons.
No, I think you scuppered yourself a little bit with Häkkinen, because you chose to build funds rather than your technologies in the 92 season.
Did I? I can't remember.
Oh, we've got a problem for an Exolite. Is that Grosjean, or is that... It is Grosjean, currently in 10th place, so he needs to try and make it back into the pits to try and salvage something from Exolite's race. You can see the car's affected. Can he keep going to the pits? He may well be able to. As Sam Bird gets past, the Sepang winner.
Must have been an issue with the installation of that engine.
Could be. And
definitely not the engine's fault.
Well, it is an electrical problem, so
you see, there you go.
It could be. But that will promote Lewis Hamilton into the points in 8th place, but on that one-stop strategy, and with Rosberg in 9th place. I think Rosberg could well be catching up to Hamilton before the end of the race. As out the pit stop, so Grosjean at least still in the race, but he's now dropped down to 17th place. So yeah, not good news for the Exolite teams, as Väinö Kymmenen, that was a bit wobbly through there, off the track, and spin goes Väinö Kymmenen!
Is he going to get back on in time?
Is he going to do? He's not. Daniel Ricciardo's going to take the lead of the race. Wow, Väinö Kymmenen and Vettel's out with an engine problem. And another mechanical, that's a Gajera, and is that Clark? It is James Clark with an issue. This is obviously a bit before, because he's pulling off. James Clark, that's a shame. That's unlucky for Clark.
Well, sorry for jinxing it.
Yeah, and Väinö Kymmenen throwing away a race win unnecessarily, I have to say. And now down to 4th behind Ricciardo, race leader now. Nico Hülkenberg in 2nd and Valtteri Bottas in 3rd. And we know how fragile the FJR has been in the past few races. A throttle problem, that's unusual. You don't often see that.
Oh, he's got the number 69, damn it.
He has, yeah.
I wanted that.
And his helmet's apparently based off of James Hunt as well.
Ah, nice.
And that was Rosberg taking Hamilton for 7th, so Hamilton back down to 8th after the retirement of Clark promoting in place, but now Rosberg, trying to end his career on a high, is in the points, and he's helping Pedersen actually check close up, because they took back, well, let's see, Verne making a move on Sam Bird, and Sam Bird cutting across. Yeah, that's how to defend a position. But Pedersen moved back up to 4th in the team's championship in the previous race, with Bird's win and Rosberg's 5th place. And Rosberg in 7th, and no Exolites in the top 8. That will certainly help their bid. As Sam Bird going through the S's, that's looked a bit wide, and that was a brake smoke, and Sam Bird making a tit of himself into the wall, but he's only suffered front wing damage, so count his lucky stars that he's just going to be making a pit stop instead of the walk back to the pits.
He might even be able to carry on. I don't know how much that amount of damage would affect these cars. Probably quite a lot, actually.
Enough to make a pit stop anyway. Yeah. And Alonso passing Max Verstappen, who's kept out of trouble and doing quite well, up in 11th, but one stopping, his tyres will be a bit old, and as a result Cooper Lee now making an overtake on Verstappen going into the 130R. So that's 11th place for Cooper, but with the highest place Mitchell in 8th, that's not doing their team's championship much good. And with Tornado 4th and 6th, that will help extend their Constructors' Team's Championship lead, as Alonso now is this Grosjean making his way past Verstappen for 12th place. So this is essentially the late bit of action. The two X-Lights, in other words.
I think it's typical that even though I've turned the engines down, I still have a retirement. Damn it.
At least Nolan Bryant's still running. He managed to finish his first race, although quite a way down the order, but at least he finished, so that'll give him some experience.
And this is where it cuts to him in the wall now.
Probably, yeah. Not quite a high attrition rate as we normally expect at Suzuka. Quite a lot of mechanical issues, but some drivers making their way into the pits and saving their races. But 5 retirements, I think all of which have been mechanical. Yeah, not as high as in previous seasons, but here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the Andrew, and this will actually help their battle for 4th place in the championship. It is a 3-way battle between Pedersen, Exolite and Andrew, and with Andrews running 1st and 5th, that will definitely help.
Is this has Ricciardo won a race this season already?
Not this season, no. His last win was Australia last season.
Right.
Again with Andrew. He's been a good driver for him ever since he joined, and out of the final corner to take his first win of the season and become the 10th different winner of the season is Daniel Ricciardo for Andrew Racing. And taking advantage of that costly mistake from Väinö Kymmenen and denying the Tornado driver a fairy tale win.
Yep, he's going to be kicking himself as coming in, and Tobias is probably going to be kicking him as well.
Former Tornado driver as well as Ricciardo, and Shake and Bake driver. He's done quite well for Andrew. Nico Hulkenberg getting a good second place after the luck he's had, and third place, and GRM's first podium of the season, Valtteri Bottas.
Oh yeah.
Good for them actually.
Yeah.
Only half a second ahead of Väinö Kimmonen, so it was a close one between the two Finns. And Tony Coast fifth. I believe that is his best career result, and he's out of a drive next season as well.
It's a bit harsh. He's all right. Tony.
Yeah, he's improved compared to last season. And as for the rest of the top 8, Sergio Perez is 6th, keeping alive his championship, but 3 points is not really what he wanted, and Rosberg 7th and Hamilton 8th. Actually, that is still keeping both Perez and Magnussen in championship contention, but realistically, Hamilton, he's got a 17-point lead, so he probably should clinch it at the next race.
Yeah, I think so. Didn't Kimi overturn a 17-point lead in 2 races?
He overturned quite a gap in the final 2 races of 2013, but...
No, 2007.
Oh, 17, but
17?
only 10 points on offer for a win.
So it's still doable.
Still doable, but very difficult now for Perez and Magnussen, and officially now Thomas Gonzalez out of the championship hunt. He could have driven for Exolite in the final races, but Exolite went a bit AWOL due to COVID.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. And Ricciardo's win rockets him up to 5th in the championship. He's had a good consistent season, so a race win I think's deserved.
Are you sure it wasn't him going AWOL due to COVID and not just being in the slammer?
Could have been. And now the gap between Tornado and Mitchell, 24 points.
It's been a rough winter.
It's been a rough winter. Very rough, yeah. And that battle for 4th, it's just 5 points separating those 3 teams. Now Andrew ahead of Pedersen and Exolite. And then the battle for 7th between Shake and Bake, Gajera, GRM and Meister. Fair to say, I think Willows are rooted in last. Let's hope they have a good season next time out.
Yeah, I feel like they might be changing the livery to move away from the turquoise livery, because it seems like a bit of a cursed livery now.
Yeah, what will they do next season? Well, we've got 2 more races to go. We've got the Bahrain Grand Prix next, a return to Bahrain for the first time since 2011. So, from the 2 of us, we shall see you for then.
Cheerio.